Isn't it frustrating when you go to a doctor with an ache or pain and the doctor looks at you and says, most of that pain is probably in your head? Not only is it frustrating, but for some of you it can be offensive because the way you take that statement is he thinks you're crazy. The truth of the matter is that all of the pain is in your head, believe it or not. And today we're going to talk about why the brain has the pain, how the brain increases the pain, and what can you do to solve the pain. Stay tuned for more details. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. My name is Butch Phelps. I'm a functional massage therapist, health coach, and an expert in aging sciences. And today we're going to talk about how the brain affects your pain. Now, like I said in the intro, yes, when a doctor says to you that most of this pain is probably in your brain, he's more than likely right. In fact, I would say all of the pain is in your brain. And what we want to talk about today is, why is that true? How does the brain actually make the pain get worse? And what can you do to help solve that problem? So let's dig in quickly to why that happens. You see, in your body, you have millions and millions of pain receptors throughout your body. So if your knee hurts or your back hurts or your neck hurts up here, those pain receptors will send messages to the brain that says, uh-oh, knee hurts, mayday, mayday. And so then the brain feels that pain, starts to contract the muscles around it and try to stop that pain. And you see, for so many people, when they feel the pain, what they want to do is to go and take a pain pill or a muscle relaxer to stop the pain. And it is true, if the pain is really immense, you want to take something to take the edge off. But you also want to understand that there's more work to be done. Lack of pain does not mean that you're fine. Lack of pain means you just turned off the receptors messaging to the brain that says that my knee hurts. So let's think about that for a minute. So when you go in to have a surgery, or if you've known someone who's had a surgery, no doctor goes in and cuts on you without first putting you under general anesthesia. What's amazing is, I was watching a knee replacement surgery once by video, and here's the person's body laying there completely out under general anesthesia. The surgeon's taking a saw and literally cutting the joint out of the leg. Now you can imagine, if there was no general anesthesia, this poor person laying on that table would be in the most excruciating pain possible and may not even survive because it would be so painful. So what they did was by using general anesthesia was to take the messaging system out of the brain so that they could cut the knee joint out and put a new knee joint in without the person laying there dealing with the pain. That lets you see how much the brain then is looking at, is feeling the pain, and it's not just in your knee. Because the thing is, again, go back to general anesthesia, once the brain is off, the knee doesn't hurt. So when you think about your back pain and you think about your knee pain and neck pain and so forth, is the pain in your head or not? The truth is, the pain is all in your head with that. So why does that happen? When you have these pain receptors throughout your body and something goes wrong structurally in your body, it sends messages to the brain. The brain then goes into what's called the fight or flight syndrome, and that then contracts the muscles that are necessary to try to alleviate as much of the pain as possible. Now, some of the things that I found in my practice is like when someone has a joint replacement, for instance, or someone has had back surgery, for instance, you typically don't go to the doctor and say, my knee hurts, doc, and the doctor says, well, let me get my tools and in an hour we'll replace that knee. Usually it's a matter of months to even years for some people before they actually have the corrective surgery. Well, in that period of time, you see, as the brain is getting those messages to it about the pain, it then recruits the muscles that are necessary to reduce as much of that pain as possible. And when typically somebody has that surgery, the brain has recruited as many muscles as they can, have tried everything they can possibly do, and you just get to a point that you just can barely walk with that knee. And then that's when the surgeon comes in and says, okay, let's replace that knee. The point here is that understanding how the brain is contracting those muscles. So when you have a chronic ache or pain, for instance, versus something like a knee joint that needs to be replaced, when you have that chronic ache or pain, now every time that you start to move, the brain is anticipating you being in pain and then starts to contract muscles around the affected area, which then can lead to even more pain because it's tightening the muscles around that area. So if it's a pinched nerve, it's a bulging disc, a herniated disc, those kind of things, the muscles then are actually increasing the pressure on that area. If it's a joint that's hurting, it's increasing the area, the pain on that area, which is causing that pain then to increase. So the point here is that as you start to understand that, now when you get minor chronic aches and pains that tend to slow you down day to day, you now can start formulating a plan to help get the brain then to work with you to get the muscles to relax and soften, and when they do, it lessens the pain. In the long term, as you learn to do that, you may actually be able to prevent things like joint replacements or back surgeries or any other major structural problems that you may have in your body. So let's talk about how do you do that. So when you get into the muscle system with the brain, the first thing to think about here and understand is that the muscles are the emotional fingers of the brain. Whatever the brain is thinking, whatever the brain decides it wants to do, it then recruits the muscles to make it happen. So in other words, everything from the shoulders down is reactive to everything from the shoulders up. Okay, so when you have a thought, if it's a happy thought, your body's in a more relaxed situation. If you're mad with somebody, if you're upset about something, if you're worried about something, the body's in a more tense situation. Why? Because of the fight or flight syndrome. Once you believe something, whether it's true or not, once you believe something, the muscles in the body then react. So if all of a sudden as you're walking, your knee starts to hurt, your hip starts to hurt, your back starts to hurt, understand that what we want to do there is to go back and start to affect those muscles, and it's going to need our brain to be able to do that. So in my stretch and release technique, I teach you a couple of different things with that. Number one, the self-massage. Now the self-massage is not a deep tissue. We're not using pressure. We're not going to push that muscle. We're not going to force that muscle to be able to do something. What we're doing with the self-massage is we're looking for spots on our body that are sore. Now, like if you're working on your arm up here, or you're working on your thigh, then not every spot on your thigh is going to be sore. There'll be some spots that you'll feel nothing. You'll have some spots that you barely touch it and it hurts like somebody stuck a knife into you. But the purpose here is that once you find a spot that is sore, instead of thinking that I've got to push really hard to make that go away, the idea is only to maintain the pressure so that the brain knows where to go on the leg, and when that happens, now you can breathe out and start to allow the brain to let the muscle under your thumbs here relax. Once the muscle relax, the pain will dissipate. That's the first step. The second step is then to do the stretching side of the stretch and release technique. And in that stretching side of it, the first thing that you always want to understand is wherever the pain is, the cause is usually the opposite side. So how many times have you seen someone who has back pain and they go to PT or they go to a trainer or they find something on YouTube and everybody's talking about you want to stretch the back, you want to lean forward and stretch the back. And I've even had doctors call and say to me, well, I have a patient with back pain, she's very flexible. I mean, she can bend down and put her both palms on the floor and touch the floor without bending her knees. The problem here is not that the back itself has a problem. The back is reacting to the muscles on the front side of their body. So No matter how much you lean forward thinking that you're stretching out your back, it's when they stand up that they feel pain the most. And when that's the case, then the pain is actually coming from the muscles on the front side of their body, like the front of their thighs or their inner thighs. So you could lean forward 1,000 times and it's never going to affect your back. Oh, it'll feel good momentarily. And the reason why it feels good momentarily is that the back muscles are fighting with the muscles on the front side of your body. And so the muscles on the back side become fatigued. So momentarily that feels good, but you're never going to break that cycle. And it's always going to come back. When you understand in stretching that with muscles, typically the opposite side, so if the pain is on the right, typically the left side is a cause. If the pain is on the back, it's typically the front side is a cause. Once you understand that in the stretching, now you can start to stretch the appropriate part of your body to solve that. Secondly, holding for as long as you can and pulling as hard as you can, that is strength training. That is not stretching. Number one, stretching is about feeling the muscles, releasing and letting go. Now, I don't care how far your range of motion is, especially when you get started, but what I care about is learning about how that feeling gets you moving and gets those muscles to start releasing. Because once that happens, the range of motion will take care of itself. And then secondly, when you pull as hard as you can, keep in mind what I said earlier about the brain. When there is pain, the brain will contract the appropriate muscles to stop the pain. So if pulling myself forward increases the pain, the brain is going to contract the muscles on the backside to pull me back up to stop that. If that's the case, then all I'm doing is strength training. That's no different than lifting a weight in the gym, to be honest with you. So what we want to do here is understand that, number one, we want to be able to feel the sore spots in our body so that we can soften the muscles by allowing the brain to let those muscles relax. When we're stretching, we always want to think about wherever the pain is, the cause is typically the opposite side, and we want to stretch in that area. When we can do that, learn how to breathe out and realize that our brain controls our muscles 100% of the time. Now what happens is that your body can be free. When you stand up, you should be able to stand up with a good posture freely. If I have to pull my shoulders back by contracting the muscles on my backside so I can stand up straighter, then I have problems in my chest. If I have to force myself to stand up straight because my low back hurts, then I probably have problems in the front of my thighs or my inner thighs. If I need to take a longer stride, then I probably have tightness in my calves. And it's like learning how to stretch those things correctly will cause your body to stand up without effort. And what does that do for you? That increases your energy, reduces your pain, and gives you the ability to lubricate your joints, lubricate your disc, and allow you to live a life, no matter your age, with far less pain than most of your peers. So that's it for today. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe down below. Ring the bell so that every Friday when a video comes out, you can see the newest one up for your entertainment and enjoyment, and hopefully your education. And share this with your friends. But for now, see ya.